Please join me in lighting the chalice. If you would like to stand, you may. We like this beacon of hope, sign our quest for truth and meaning in celebration of the life we share together.
Might have been raised on this block, might have wandered here from far. No matter where you come from, no matter who you are, don't need no ID, you don't need no membership card. Don't you know you're always welcome in my Father's house? Might be a child of the street, might be a rich man's son. No matter what you're doing, no matter what you've done, when you got nowhere to hide, you got nowhere left to run. Don't you know you'll find shelter in my Father's house? When you're lonely and discouraged and misery has no end, when you need a helping hand and no one wants to lend, when you're down on your knees and you're begging for a friend, don't you know you'll surely find one in my Father's house? When you're mistreated in the
morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist congregation of the Low Country. And I know what you're all thinking. Shoot, I should have made it last night because he is fantastic. He is Pat Wictor. He has lived in multiple places, currently living in New York, and he can talk Brooklyn ease and Texas ease, whatever you want to say. So I have a few announcements, and we'll hear a little bit more from him later. I have a few announcements this morning. Next Music on Malthus will be on February 22nd with Matt Nakoa. I know many of you have heard him and loved him. He will be here. Next Sunday, we have Charlie Tyler speaking, and he is not here today as he is celebrating a 10th birthday with one of his grandchildren. And then at the end of February, we have Dick Hood, who will also be here. And I'd first like to start out and have David Nelms and Diane Barber please stand. And we'd like to congratulate them as this past Friday here at the UUCL, they got married in a private ceremony. And I'd first like to also welcome some first-time or second-time visitors who have come here. On my right, your left, if there's any new visitors and you'd like to stand, give us your name, perhaps where you're from. We'd love to maybe get to know you afterwards. How about here in the middle section? Yes, go ahead.
Eileen Carlson. I'm from Western New York, south of Buffalo, but here 6 or 7 months.
Welcome.
I'm Diane Kearney. This is my husband, Tom Kearney. We're UU members up in York, Pennsylvania. And my parents, Eli and Rita Breger, were founding members of this congregation.
Awesome. Ladies. Awesome. Welcome. Do we have anyone here on the left side? Your right? Wow. Go ahead.
I'm Shelley Langenbacher, my husband Bill Langenbacher, and we have a condo near here, and so we're snowbirds,
Oh,
and we're from central Minnesota.
welcome. Go ahead.
Melissa, my friends are people year-round, so I'm from all over the place. I moved here from Washington State. I live in Maine. I lived in Maine for 25 years.
Welcome.
I'm Patty Wictor, and I moved here 2 days ago. Caitlin's mom and Reed's grandmother over there.
Okay. Welcome. All right. Does anybody have any announcements that I didn't mention and would like to speak up? Okay. Well, at this time, let's have our opening words with Pat Wictor.
Today's opening words are from Nathan Ryan. Be it real or metaphor, whatever is in your backpack or your briefcase or your purse that you brought into the sanctuary that is weighing you down, leave it behind. Whatever you are carrying that is keeping you distracted or caught up in shame or guilt or hopelessness, leave it behind. If you need it, it'll be there when we're done. But for just this hour, let it go. Come into this place with open hearts, come into this place with a soul that has remembered how to be tender again. Come into this place with a renewed hope for this world. Come into this place ready to build a world we've always been worthy of and have always dreamed of. I was nearsighted for most of my life, and so I just kept my glasses on all the time. But now this on-off thing, it's a matter of keeping track of it. I left a pair here overnight, right here on this one. See through the unknown. I will sure and steady stride through the darkness at your side. I will see to it you do not go alone. I will take upon my shoulders your worries and your woes. I will walk with you down your darkest road. On your passage into shadows, you will not go alone. I will walk with you down your darkest road. On your path are overgrown, and the dark heart of the wood is still ahead. I will swing the woodsman's blade for to clear the brambled shade, and make passage for your tired feet to tread. I will take upon my shoulders your worries and your woes. I will walk with you down your darkest road. Maybe sing that line with me. I will walk with you down your darkest road. On your passage into shadows, you will not go alone. Here it comes. I will walk with you down your darkest road. When at last your weary head takes the earth for its bed, I'll watch over your sleep until dawn. But now hearken to the trees, you can hear the night birds sing. Sing a song for wandering souls far from home. Here it comes. I will take upon my shoulders your worries and your woes. I will walk with you down your darkest road. On your passage into shadows, you will not
Gotta have one of these. Please join us in the hymn.
That was the hymn.
That was the hymn. We don't need this right now. What we need is your generosity, because it's now time, first of all, to excuse me, but secondly, it's now time for the sharing of our abundance. We donate gifts to Sandalwood Community Food Pantry and Bluffton Self-Help. Those gifts can be placed on the table in the back of the sanctuary if you haven't done so. And it is also time to sustain our community, and your gifts are greatly appreciated, and sustain the work of this association both inside and outside of these walls. And if you are visiting, please feel free to let the basket pass. Your presence is our gift. Thank you for your generosity.
Now is the time in the service where we share our joys and concerns with one another. For in sharing our joys, they are multiplied, and we are comforted when we share our concerns with this caring community. If you have something to share, please come forward, take a stone from the basket, tell us your name, and briefly share what it is you have to say, and then place your stone in the cairn. Thanks to Tom Duff, we know what the cairn is now.
Hello, everybody. I'm Ryan. I'm here sharing a concern. Can you hear me now? Yeah. Okay, good. About a month ago, a friend of mine in Rhode Island, they had an issue with their roof starting to sag, so they ended up having to get an engineer to come out, and that cost a pretty good penny. But it started doing it again, and then last night they got about 8 inches of snow. So, yeah, that's sharing my concern, because I'm really hoping that they can get all that straightened out. They've already tried to get it done once, now I got to get it done a second time. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Linda, and I have a joy and a concern. My concern is I hope that you will keep my husband David and myself in your hearts. He went into hospice this week. He's at home. We've got a road ahead of us. The joy is that our youngest daughter, Rebecca, is coming in from Kansas this week with her husband and my grandson, and we'll see them later on this week, and that'll be a joy. Thank you.
My name is George. I have a great joy. Yesterday, in this community right here, in this church, we welcomed over 150 or 160 people in Low Country Indivisible in support of the immigration movement that is impacting so many of us in so many ways here in the Low Country. But this is really what we're all about as a UU. And I hate to use those terrible terms, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Not terrible. But I'm so proud of who we are. UU people showed up, and 160 people listened to Amy Deverell, the immigration attorney, to tell us what's going on and what yet may still come and impact us. But thank you to the UU for hosting this effort.
Well, thank you, George. And without you, it wouldn't be happening. So thank you for I'd like to share with you something that was very empowering to me, and that is downloading an app called 5 Calls that lets you know what's going on in the legislature. It's legislature, and it's moving very quickly. So this app fills you in on what's in the Senate and the House statewide and federally, and it gives you 5 people that you can place a call to. Not only that, it gives you the script to use. It summarizes what's going on. So educate yourself and take the time to make 5 calls this week and stay on top of this very, very fast-moving change in policy. When Amy was here at the Indivisible, she said there was 80 policy changes in 3 weeks. So it's a wave, it's a tidal wave. We'll do what we can.
I will place 2 stones in the cairn for the joys and concerns that remain in your hearts, and I will place 1 stone in the glass tower so that we remember all the children who have been killed by gunfire and their families who are mourning their loss. And now we will have a reading by our speaker, Pat Wictor.
Well, I thought I wanted this music stand, but I think I'm just going to stand here and read this. The reading is adapted from a work by the philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer titled On Human Nature. And I selected this because it really upended the way that I think about these things normally. This is what Schopenhauer says. When you come into contact with a person, no matter whom, do not attempt an objective appreciation of them according to their worth and dignity. Do not consider their bad will or their narrow understanding and perverse ideas, as the former may easily lead you to hate and the latter to despise them. But fix your attention only upon their sufferings, their needs, their anxieties, their pains. Then you will always feel your kinship with them. You will sympathize with them. And instead of hatred or contempt, you will experience the commiseration that alone is the peace to which the gospel calls us. So, when I was thinking about this topic of forgiveness, I realized very quickly that I was biting off more than I could chew. Forgiveness it's much bigger than a few minutes of reflections can do justice. I hope today, at least, that I can invite some questions and some further inquiry on all of our parts. The spiritual practice of forgiveness, I have found, at least for myself, is filled with failure. It's filled with murky choices, and it's filled with unsolvable moral problems and dilemmas. In other words, it's like a lot of great and worthy undertakings. It's not an easy practice. If it were easy, more people would be good at it. I'm not particularly good at it myself, but I've thought a lot about forgiveness, and maybe by sharing some of my thoughts, maybe together we can collectively explore this and make some headway. So this is a time when public shows of forgiveness are very much in short supply. Maybe it's always been like that, but because there's so little of it, a little forgiveness goes a long way. I'm suggesting a dual focus here. It's good to give attention to the big societal problems, and I also think we can focus on the people that we encounter very directly in our lives. So, what is forgiveness for? Why bother with it? My short answer is that no conflict can ever end without it. Whether it's interpersonal, familial, community level, national, or global. Without forgiveness, everyone has a reason to keep fighting, resenting, hating, nursing some smoldering grudge. Forgiveness keeps it going. Forgiveness prevents it from going. This is what short sleep does. I'm subverting the meaning of my own sermon here. Forgiveness allows us to not assume malice in other people. And that, I believe strongly, is a good thing. Even when, in fact, they are malicious. I learned this as a high school teacher. I spent 7 years teaching in the New York City public schools before I quit to become a full-time musician 25 years ago. If you assume malice behind bad behavior, a kid can only keep behaving badly because you're treating them as a bad kid. They really don't have any other options. They have no way to convince you that they are trying to do better if you keep assuming that they're a bad person. Once you assume somebody's evil, then any good they do, you're going to dismiss it. And they're not going to have any opportunity to show you that they're trying their best. If you treat somebody as good, even when they're not, and invite the best from them, you give them the opportunity to do something different, to do something better. You create a space for them to do that. It won't always work. In fact, it doesn't even work all that often. Failure is always a part of it. Failure around forgiveness is normal. But when it works, it's extraordinary. If you haven't already, I want to invite you to watch this movie on Netflix called The Best of Enemies. I don't know if any of you have seen it yet, but if you haven't, go watch it. It's based on a true story of how Anne Atwater, an African-American civil rights activist, and C.P. Ellis, the head of the Ku Klux Klan in Durham, North Carolina. They both co-chaired a commission that was deciding whether to desegregate schools in Durham in the early 1970s. The city council put these two on this commission in the expectation that it would be deadlocked and that segregation would continue. After being treated with compassion and respect by the black members of the commission, C.P. Ellis came to see that he could not anymore defend white supremacy and the hatred that is at the root of it. He publicly tore up his KKK membership card and supported desegregation. Atwater and Ellis became decades-long friends. Ellis moved and improved because Atwater gave him a chance to. It didn't happen overnight. It happened over a period of years. Who is forgiveness for? My father was a stiff-necked German American from Iowa and an alcoholic. He was defensive as a fortress. He never accepted being called to account for even small injuries or misjudgments that he made. In my 30s, I forgave him for not being the father that he could have been. It took a long time for me to see that he did the best that he could. He wasn't trying to be my dad wasn't a bad dad. He was just a mediocre dad. But that was his level best. He wasn't trying to do anything, to hurt us. When it came to his emotional toolkit, it was nearly empty. And at that, he was a real improvement over his own father, whose unkindness had shaped my father into the defensive and lonely man that he was. But I never could tell my father that I forgave him, because he would have heard that as an accusation. So, did I forgive my father for his sake? No, I forgave him for my sake. I forgave him for me, so that I could put down the burden of being angry with him. When I began to see my dad with some compassion, I saw what he had missed in life. I saw how he had treated us was a sign of how he had been mistreated himself growing up. In my opinion, forgiveness is not for the person being forgiven. If you're waiting for people to show you gratitude because you forgave them, I don't think that's an approach that results in actual forgiveness. I strongly believe that true forgiveness is not and cannot be transactional. You can't expect to get something when you forgive someone. Because if you do, you're not really forgiving them. If we forgive even the most terrible injuries done to us, and by the way, it asks everything of you to do that. It asks your last reserves of everything to do that. So I'm really not trying to make this sound simple. If you forgive even the worst that's done to you, we do it for ourselves, so that resentment doesn't eat us alive and destroy our ability to go on living. Most often, the worst crimes are done by people who are unrepentant and undeserving of forgiveness. We don't forgive them for their sake. We forgive them for our own sake. The opposite of hatred, as it turns out, isn't love. Phil Oakes had this amazing song called The Crucifixion. And it's about the way that public figures are built up and, lionized and turned into heroes in the media, and then when they reach their pinnacle, they are then torn down and debunked and shown to be, unworthy of that kind of adulation. And so he says in the song, beneath the greatest love lies a hurricane of hate. I'm not saying love and hate are always a short distance from each other, but they can be. The polar opposite, the thing furthest from hatred, as it turns out, the thing that banishes it, isn't love, it's forgiveness. Nelson Mandela famously said that resentment is like drinking poison and then hoping it will kill your enemies. He also said, forgiveness liberates the soul. It removes fear. That's why it's such a powerful weapon. And it's true. Once I forgave my father, I stopped being intimidated by him. I stopped dreading my time around him. The New Testament has a lot to say about forgiveness. Luke chapter 6, verse 37. This is a famous quote. Do not judge, and you will not be judged. Do not condemn, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Now again, I don't think Luke here is talking about something transactional. That's not what he's saying. He's not saying, do not judge, so that you will not be judged. He's not saying that. He's saying, I think, he's talking about the impact that we have on others when we treat them without judgment and with forgiveness. He's talking about the kind of world that we create through doing that, by treating people as we want to be treated, and which eventually rebounds into how we are treated ourselves. It's not transactional. Luke's advice begs our next question. Where do we start with forgiveness? It's a particularly daunting question in our personal lives and in the face of things going on in the world that trouble all of us. I think that there is such a thing as evil, but the common mistake that people make when they use that word is that they think it only applies to other people. Here's the thing, though. If other people are capable of evil, I'm capable of it myself. Whether it's through malice or resentment or defensiveness or callous indifference or carelessness, I am also capable of doing injury to other people, and have. If I take stock of all the mistakes I've made and the people I've hurt, it's not a short list. Maybe the injuries are small, but they're still there. So there, to me, if we really take stock of that, our capacity that evil isn't just something that other people do. We all fall short. That, to me, is the basis for forgiveness. If I can fall short, if I'm capable of causing terrible injury to other people, then I have no grounds to be self-righteous in the face of other people's evil. There's a famous quote from the cartoon character Pogo. He misquoted Naval Commander Oliver Perry. He says, "We have met the enemy and he is us." Becoming aware of one's shortcomings requires humility. We are all made of the same flawed, unstable, perishable material. We all deserve compassion along with accountability. Where do we start with forgiveness? With ourselves. I began to see my way clear to forgiving my father when I began to see his shortcomings in myself. I have many of his same fears, many of his same destructive impulses. I drank a lot when I was younger. I was rigid and defensive and impossible to talk to. I had to learn. I had to travel a long road to move away from those things. But if I'm really honest, those things are still a part of me. They don't run my life anymore, but somewhere in the back of my mind, there it is, and I can see it, and I say, okay, you again. Have a seat in the corner. So I've learned to deal with these same tendencies that I saw in my father. I've learned to deal with them differently, but not always, and not always well. So find out. I want to invite all of you to find out and really let in where you've fallen short. Not to beat yourself up. Not to say, I'm a terrible person. Let in not just the pain of the injuries done to you, but also any pain that you may have caused other people. Forgive yourself. This is part of being human. We're all people here. Forgive yourself so that you can forgive other people. It starts with the person in the mirror. I'm going to close with a Buddhist prayer for forgiveness. If I have harmed anyone in any way, either knowingly or unknowingly, through my own confusions, I ask forgiveness. If anyone has harmed me in any way, either knowingly or unknowingly, through their own confusions, I forgive them. And if there is a situation I am not ready to forgive, I forgive myself for that. For all ways I harm myself, negate, doubt, or belittle myself, judge, or am unkind to myself through my own confusions, I forgive myself.
Now open your hymnals. We're going to sing hymn number 318. And in closing, I just want to let you know that I forgot to pass out our badges for those new members that we had that just finished their path to belonging. So if you are here, please come up and get your beautiful gold badge. We have Carly Grubbs. Zach Vaughn and Jesse Andre.
Hey, young people.
Bonnie DeSalvo. Bonnie. Kate Mace. Bill Sparger. And Amanda Valentine. Thank you. I want to thank Pat. Excuse me. Thank you, Pat, for your insight and your importance of the importance of forgiveness and its everlasting effects. And for those of you that are new, we can talk more about this in our talk back after you have gone out for a coffee and some snacks. And I'd like to also thank all the new visitors that were here, and we hope to see you again. And we'd like to invite you to come to the talk back after we've had our coffee, the most important part of the UU congregation here. So at this time, and then we are going to switch things up a little bit. We're going to hear from Pat again. He's going to have us do one more song with him, and then we will extinguish the chalice.
The closing words are adapted from a reading by George Herbert. Those that cannot forgive others break the bridge over which they must themselves pass. For everyone has need to be forgiven. Let us go forth in the light of love and the spirit of forgiveness for ourselves and others. All right, let's do a little singing, shall we? So this one's easy. Those of you who were at the concert last night, this is how the concert ended. So some of you have a head start. This is how it goes. Love is the water that wears down the rock. Love is the water that wears down the rock. Love is the power that won't be stopped. Love is the water that wears down the rock. Pretty simple, 2 lines. Love is the water that wears down the rock twice. Love is the power that won't be stopped. And back to love is the water that wears down the rock. You guys got it, right? You say your heart's been turned to stone. You say you wanna be left alone. You say love only made you weep and moan. Let me tell you something that you know in your bones. Love is the water that wears down the rock. Love is the water that wears down the rock. Love is the power that won't be stopped. Love is the water that wears down the rock. You say your soul's like a dry riverbed. Stop waiting for the water long ago is set. You better pray all night for the rain instead. Love comes like a tidal wave over your head. Love is the water that wears down the rock. Love is the water that wears down the rock. Love is the power that won't be stopped. Love is the water that wears down the rock. You say waiting for love takes too long. Dulls a sharp mind, weakens the strong. Well, you may be right, but but you may be wrong. 'Cause love can make a mountain come tumbling down. Love is the water that wears down the rock. Love is the water that wears down the rock. Love is the power that won't be stopped. Love is the water that wears down the rock. The river washes over every woman and man, feeding the gravel and mud in your hand. Nothing can stand against love's command. Every boulder turns into a grain of sand. Love is the water that wears down the rock. Love is the water that wears down the rock. Love is the power that won't be stopped. Love is the water that wears down the rock. I said love is the water that wears down the rock. Love is the water that wears down the rock. Love is the power that won't be stopped.
It's now time to extinguish the chalice. While we extinguish this flame, we still carry in our hearts the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment until we are together again.
Another hawk next to the other one? Yeah, there was a pair.
Somehow she said,
Maybe it's a
they're out there a lot.
maybe they're just I keep hoping to see
Right now. Yeah, I know. You're working different things. And I'm not
looking
forgiving
around and
anybody.
saying, where'd it go? Where'd it go?
This is notes from yesterday. Rosemary Shimon, and I could throw it to see if it's in it.
Hey, did you see the